Okay, here we go. Starting from the back and working forward. Let's see. 15 movie tickets were bought. So 15 movie, and there was adults and students. So if you add up the adults plus the number of students that went, we know 15 people went. So we have one equation. If you add up all the adults and all the students, there were 15 people. All right, the other thing we know that we spent $41 on tickets, but not all the tickets are the same. So it was $3 for every adult, so $3 for every adult, plus $2 for every student, plus $2 for every student, and that's how we got our $41. All right, so they want to know how many student tickets were bought. So I've got two equations. I'm going to put them underneath each other. I've got this, and I've also got A plus S equals 15. All right, we want to know students. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply this one by 3, or negative 3 actually. And the reason why I'm going to do negative 3 is because it makes A negative 3A. It makes S negative 3S, and it turns 15 into negative 45. Why did I do that? The reason I did that is because now when I have the columns fight against each other, 3A's versus negative 3A's is no more A's. 2 S's versus negative 3 S's is negative 1 S's. Let's see. 41 minus 45 is negative 4. If negative S, remember this is like a negative 1 in the front, so we can kind of divide by negative 1. That'll get rid of the negative 1. That cancels off this guy. That's what that is. So the negative 1, the negatives kill the negatives. 4 divided by 1 is just 4. There were 4 students. So that's what the question is asking for. There were 4 students, and there were apparently 11 adults, but they didn't ask for that. So there were 4 students. All right, that's an honors problem for sure. Okay, let's see. Are they a function? Let's see. You can't have 2 jobs. Negative 15, you have 2 jobs. No, that is not. Let's see, is this a function? Well, if I do a straight line right there, I hit a bunch of spots. No, that is not a function. Let's see, negative 2 has a job, negative 1 has a job, 0 has a job, 1 has a job, 2 has a job. Yeah, that's a function. All right, and this one, is it a function? Tough to know, but I know the graph. Like this is one that we would have done all year. Starts at negative 19, which would be like down here, let's say negative 19, and goes up 4 over 1. So maybe up 4 over 1, up 4 over 1, up 4 over 1. And the graph would just look like this. Now, straight lines, as long as they're not straight up and down, those are fine. Yes. Okay, let's see, 32. Let's see, this one went down 8. This one went up 4. Down 8 over 4 equals negative 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Nothing killed the negative. This is negative 2. Let's see, 31. Let's see. All right, they do all the math work, right? And they get down to here. That means there's infinite solutions. Or down, and they subtracted 3 from each side. 0 equals 0. There's no letter in there. That means 0 always equals 0. That's infinity solutions. It doesn't mean x equals 0 and 0 equals 0 are very different. This means 0 is the answer. This means there's infinity answers. So Lisa said that means that x is what that equals. She's wrong. Because that means infinity solutions. All right. So if this was 3 times bigger than this, then I could take the I can take the volume of the first one, and it should equal 3 times the volume of the second one. He said it's 3 times bigger. So if we do this one, this guy should be 3 times as big as this guy. So if we take the small guy and multiply him by 3, he should equal that. So let's see if that is true. The volume of the big guy is pi r squared, give it some height, and that should be equal to 3 times the other guy, which is pi r squared, give it some height. If it was 3 times bigger, then we could say, oh, as long as you multiply it by 3, these should be equal. So this is that 3.14 times the radius of the big guy is 6, right? That's 6 up there. Twice times height is 3. is equal to 3 times pi 3.14 times the radius of the small guy, which is 2 squared, times the height of that one is 1. So if these were equal, if this is equal to this, then yeah, it is 3 times bigger because we put this random 3 in there. So let's see if they're equal to each other. Let's see, 3.14 times 6 times 6 times 3. I'm getting my calculator out. 3.14 times 6 times 6 times 3 is 339.12. This side is what's 3 times bigger than, so 3 times 3.14 times 2 times 2 times 1 equals 37.68. So even when we multiplied by 3 and tried to make this one 3 times bigger, because they said this guy is 3 times bigger than the whole thing, these are not equal to each other. So when you take the volume of one side and multiply it by 3, it does not equal the volume of the other side. So this one right here means they're not, when we try to do it, they were not equal. So look, this one is saying when you do the formula for one side, the big guy, it is not equal to 3 times the little guy. So that proves that it is not equal to. So it was actually this guy. Tough question. I hope they don't ask a question like that on there. All right, if I have 10 toys and each box can fit 2 toys, then I need 5 boxes. So this is division. So we have 12 to the 7th amount of toys. One box can hold 12 to the 2nd, so we divide, and that's 12 to the 5th power. Because 1 less than division is multiplication, or 1 less than division is subtraction. All right, 28. Whenever you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, it only works on a right triangle. So the first thing, even before you do any math, you say this has to be a right triangle. It has to have that guy. If it's not a right triangle, if it's like this, we cannot use the formula. So even before you do it, it has to be a right triangle. Let's see, this one, to make a straight line, I need to continue the slope. Up, let's see, up 3, backwards 2. Up 3, backwards 2 would put me right there. Enter the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate is 2. Enter the y-coordinate. The y-coordinate would be 6. So this would make a straight line. Let's see, 26. All right, this is pretty cool. When we have to test these. Here's what you do with these. Whenever you have a fraction, what I do, I multiply by this guy, and then I divide by this. So ready? Watch this. We'll start with 6, because we're testing 6. 6, we're going to multiply by 2, which gives me 12. Then we're going to divide by 3, which gives me 4. And then we're going to add 2, which gives me 6. So when I started with 6, I ended up with 6. Yes. So the top number you multiply by, and the bottom number then you divide. So let's see. So let's start with 9. If we start with 9 and we multiply by 2, we're at 18. Then if we divide by 3, we're at 6. Then if we add 2, we're at 8. So if you start at 9, you get to 8. Yes. Let's start with 3. If we multiply by 2, we get to 6. If we divide by 3, we get to 2. If we add 2, we get to 4. So if we start at 3, we get to 4. Yes. Negative 3. If we start at negative 3 and multiply by 2, we're at negative 6. If we divide by 3, we're at negative 2. If we add 2, we're at 0. So if we start at negative 3, we get to 0. Oh, all 4 of them worked. Number 25, what's the equation? Enter the equation. Let's see. First I say, where does it start on the begin on blue line? Where's the y-intercept? Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So y equals something plus 6. What's the slope? I know this is going down. Using my right arm, this is going down, so it's going to be negative something. Let's see, that point right there. Down 4 over 3. Down 4 over 3. There's my equation. Okay, let's see. Sally we don't know what she is, but Sally and Brad make a total of, Sally plus Brad equals 100 cakes. Okay, Sally and Brad make 100 cakes. Sally makes 42 less than Brad. So if I can make a sentence out of that too. Sally does not equal Brad. Sally equals 42 less than Brad. So if you took 42 away from Brad, that would be equal to Sally. So Sally is equal to 42 less than Brad. Brad minus 42. So this equation tells me anywhere I see a Sally, I can plug in Brad minus 42. So over here I see a Sally, so I can plug in Brad minus 42 plus Brad equals 100. On this side I have Brad plus Brad, that's 2 Brads minus 42 is 100. I'm going to add 42 and put 42 over with this guy. So 2 Brads is 142. I'm going to divide by 2, and Brad equals 71 cakes. So it's 71, and then if we wanted to subtract 42 from that, if I subtracted 40, that'd be 31, and Sally made 29. So it's 71 and 29, but we didn't have to actually say the 29. So Brad was 71, Sally was 29. Together, those are 100, and they're 42 apart. 23. This one I've explained before. You don't know which company is more expensive until you know how many pencils you're buying. Let's see. This one, I could check, but this tells me anytime I see a Y, I'm going to plug in 3x minus 8. So up here, I see a Y. So I'm just going to plug in 6x minus 2 times 3x minus 8. I'm going to take that y out and plug in 3x minus 8 equals 5. Let's see, 6x, negative 2 times 3x's is minus negative 6x's. Negative 2 times negative 8 is positive 16 equals 5. 6x's minus 6x's is 0x's, so I end up with 16 equals 5. 16 never equals 5. This is no solution. 21, let's see. 1/2 of 6x is 3x's. 1/2 of negative 18 is negative 9. Plus 3x's equal 36. Hopefully you didn't see 3x and 3x and think they cancel out. Positive 3x's and positive 3x's is 6x's minus 9 equals 45. Oh, sorry, equals 36. I skipped ahead of my head. Plus 9, 6x's equal 45. Divide by 6. X equals 9. All right, 20. All right. This problem is pretty tough. We have an XY chart. This is minutes. This is percent. So this is minutes. This is percent. But basically, it's an XY chart. We have 12 and 16. We have 36 and 48. They're also trying to find us two different things. They're saying, how long would it take to be 40%? So if we put 40% in the charge over here, what is this over here? For B, it says, what if you charged it 1 hour? That's 60 minutes. How much percentage would that be? Okay, here's what we can do. This goes up by 24. This goes up by 16 minus 40 is 32. Okay. Now, this is 32 over 24. Now, if I reduce that, 8 goes into both. That's 4/3. So the slope is 4/3. But 32 over 24 is the same thing. Notice I took an 8 out of both of these guys. I made it 8 times smaller. That's how I got there. Okay. So if these are all going to be in the straight line, all of these fractions from there to there and there to there, all the slopes have to be the same. They all have to be 4/3. So let's see. This goes down 8. This goes down 8. So this is negative 4. This got negative 4 times smaller. Like if you divided by 4 and made it negative. So if over here, if we made that 4 times smaller and made it negative, we'd have negative 6. So if this one's going to go down 8, this one needs to go down 6 to keep the fraction the same as 32 to 24. So if that makes sense to you, Congratulations. So 36 minus 6, this needs to be 30. Okay, let's see. This one went up 30. This one went up 30. So then to keep this the same fraction, we multiplied this by -5. We're going to have to multiply this one by -5. This one's going to need to go up 40. So this needs to be 80. You can use patterns like that. This one, I'm going to probably give you guys another problem like that in class. So for this one, this was 30 and this was 80. You're just looking for patterns in your XY chart for this one. I'll describe it better in an easier problem. If they're always going to be congruent, the only thing, congruent means, similar means you're still a Griffiths hat, two Griffiths hats, right? But you might be different sizes, you might be the same size. Congruent means you're a Griffiths hat and you're exactly the same size. So the only thing we're not allowed to do is we can't switch sizes. So dilation switches sides, so we cannot do that one. As long as we don't do a dilation, we're fine. So we cannot do this one because it has a dilation in it. Yes, yes. So if we want to stay congruent, if we want to stay exactly the same size, we can't do a dilation. Number 18. Let's see. Y equals. Let's see. We're going to start off at $71 just because. So plus 71. Over here, we're starting at a lab fee of $23.21 just because. So plus $23.21. This one goes up $5 per student. So up $5 every student. This one goes $9 every student. $9 every student. There's our two equations. 17, this short side right here, MN, is this side right here, Y, so MN is Y. Let's see. It's tough to tell these apart, but if I was reflecting this over the x-axis, this L would go to here, M would go to -7, which is right there, and N would go to right there. So if I reflected it over the x-axis, here's L, here's M, here's N, and then I translated it right 10 units. So that would be L, this would be M, this would be N. So let's see, LN is actually X. Let's see, so that means LM is actually the Z side. This guy, which one's -2x plus 6? Let's see. If I can take my x, multiply it by -2, and add 6, I should get my y. So let's see. If I start over here, if I start with the x and multiply it by -2, that gives me +4. If I add 6, yeah, that gives me 10. All right, so far so good. Let's try it again. If I start with -1 and multiply it by -2, the negatives cancel out and I get +2. Add 6, that's 8. I know this one's right because +6 is my begin on blue number. Let's see. If I start with 1, multiply by -2, that's -2. Add 6, +4. Yeah, this is the guy. Done. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This is my A and my B, so 5 to the second power plus 12 to the second power equals I don't know to the second power. 25 plus 144 equals I don't know to the second power. 169 equals I don't know to the second power, so we take the square roots. That gets rid of the second power, and C equals 13. 14, let's see. I'm going to multiply everything in this equation by 2. You'll see why. Because I want this guy, so if I make everything in this equation 2 times bigger, I'm going to have my first equation, which stays the same, 3x plus 4y equals 35. My second equation, I'm going to make twice as big. So instead of 2 x's, I'm going to have 4 x's. Instead of -2y's, I'm going to have -4y's. Instead of 0, well, times 2, I still have 0. Okay, so now 3x's and 4x's is 7x's. 4y's and -4y's, the y's are gone. 35 and 0 is 35. I divide by 7, and x equals 5. So already I know my answer is going to start with 5. It's not no solution. I know there's an answer. It's not infinitely solutions. I've got one answer. I just don't know what it is yet. It doesn't start with 1, so I could plug this back in, or I could look at my answers. The only one that has x equals 5 is this guy. All right, so there's the one answer. Find the one that makes this true. If I have negative 6x's and positive 4x's, I have negative 2x's plus 10 equals 90. Once I make my teams, number team, letter team, the guy that needs to move is the negative 10. So let's go, positive 10. So let's go minus 10, minus 10. We've got negative 2x equals 80. Let's divide by negative 2. X equals 80 divided by 2 is 40. Nothing killed this negative, so the answer is negative 40. All right, you guys should have got through 12, so I'm going to stop there. Good job.